Well, hello. So today I thought I would discuss about, and I know we have done this before about emotions, but I thought I would discuss specifically about these underlying emotions that cause anger or anger. Some people like anger, and some people like anger, and I like anger, and it's because that's how I learned it. Number one, but number two, um, is from here this emotion, and then it comes out. So that's one reason I like it instead of just mad on your face. But either one is correct, and I see them frequently. But it was this lesson that I was teaching, and it's about how to control or manage. This is like the brains of the horse, manage, control, any of those kinds of words that go along with manage your emotions or emotions. Doesn't matter which way you go, and anger. And so there's this long list of different uh, these underlying, and I not just basic at the bottom, but I'm just kind of like underlying. They're kind of there, cooking and boiling emotions that can cause anger. And some are like, oh yeah, and others are going, hmm. So anyway, let's go through that list. So I'm going to be teaching you the signs plus hopefully some other information. So, so the first one is being resentful, right? Like, and you need that uh, uh, expression on your face, and it's boiling underneath. Resentful, disappointment, an L, hand shape, disappointment, ashamed. Now, this is like shamed, or I would, so this is shy, right? Shy and shamed. I was ashamed. Kind of flicks out. Um, has a lot to do with that. Also, the sign for prostitute as that shame, shame. So a lot of signs come from that, but like prostitute, because shame, 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 right? Prostitute, ashamed. This is shy, right? So don't confuse them. Okay, hopeless. So you're without hope. So you do hope. This is hope, and then it's lost. Hopeless, because you have this and without. So you could say it's hopeless, hope without. You could do that. Either one. It works and it's accurate conceptually. Guilty. It's a G hand shape. You can see it. And then it's over here. I'm right-handed, so it's over here on my left side of my chest. If I was left-handed, it would go on the right side. Guilty. Guilty. Uh, Overwhelmed. And it's an interesting cause for anger. So overwhelmed, it's over your head. It's like, not like, man, it went over my head, because I'm not that smart, right? I have a different facial expression, but I am just overwhelmed. I have just so much to do, right? But this is like over your head, like everything is coming up and it's just over your head. Overwhelmed, overwhelmed. Can also have that, like, man, that was over my head, whoo, right? I didn't know that. That's, I'm not that smart. That NASA person said something and whoo, right? But it's like, oh man, I'm just so busy. I'm just overwhelmed, right? So you have this different body language. You have different facial expressions. And embarrassed can cause anger. And I guess because if someone is like teasing you, it's like, ah, ha, 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 and then you're embarrassed. And so then you become angry, right? So your face, and this is embarrassed because your face will turn usually red, it'll flush. So embarrassed, and that causes anger. Um, Frustrated. And a lot of people do two hands. A lot of people just do one hand. It doesn't matter. Sometimes when I want to emphasize something, like I say, oh, thank you, or thank you so much, right? Or man, I was just frustrated, right? I was just frustrating. So you can, to me, it'll do more connotation of the intensity. That's just my style, my personality. But so you can either do it one time, It's kind of an open B hand shape, or B hand shape is the relaxed thumb, and or two of them, right? Frustrated. So it depends on how frustrated you are. Inferior. So I'm going to do the sign for inept, and we've done that one fairly recently as well. So I'm right-handed, so you take your left hand, and it's going to be like uh, an O handshake, like when you find something. But this is going to be where I'm going to have this my thumb in it. Like this is for gasoline, but inept, inept, incompetent. I just felt right? That I just couldn't do it. So I just felt that I was inferior, right? Or you could even, when your self esteem, you can have, it's really good, it's positive, or, right? I felt myself, you could do either one. It depends on how you wanted to do inferior, right? Or, so inept, sometimes we'll say it's more of like a, I don't know how to do that, or I tried it and man, I'm just inept. Like I was telling you that story about sewing. Um, my mom was showing me, and I was inept, right? I just couldn't do it. But if it's an emotional or then your self-esteem, then it's right. I'm inferior. I feel like I'm inferior, like I don't fit in or I don't belong, that kind of thing. Grief. Now, grief, you can do that with a couple of signs. So you could do sadness, or you can even do sadness with my heart is broken. So I've got it over here by my heart, and it just, right, it breaks. Grief, grief stricken. So much grief, it can cause anger because you can't control the grief, or you can't do anything about grief, the sadness. Insensitive. So with your open eight hand, this is sensitive. Oh, they're not sensitive, insensitive, right? Or you can even do past feeling, or they don't have a lot of sensitivity. Not a lot of sensitivity, right? They're not sensitive. So those are, those are a couple things that you can do for insensitive. And the next one on the list is the same that we did before, like when we did grief, heartbroken. And so grief goes with sadness, and then it's the heartbroken, but, or, your heart's broken. So that's grief. So if you just want to do heartbroken, oh, that upset me. I was just so heartbroken when I heard about whatever. So heartbroken, I would just do this. Now, this I'm going to show you. This is just a sign for rape, but this is heartbroken because yours next to your heart. It's something that's broken or it's been torn, so to speak. Um, Afraid. I knew that caused anger. You're afraid, and you're going, I don't know what to do, and so you get angry so you can act. So, so fear is here with a closed O, and then you have it kind of, shoulder length apart, and then you go in. Afraid. Make sure you have the whole body language with that. And so here's another one. Anxious. So we've done anxious before. This also can be afraid. And some people will do that for anxious because they're afraid, or they're anxious. I'm afraid to go out in public or whatever. But anxious, a lot of times they'll start here. This is like nervous because I'm nervous, I'm shaking, nervous, I'm shaking, anxiety, anxious when it goes up because it gets worse and worse, right? So I had a lot of patients that did anxiety. That's a lot for nervous, right? And afraid and anxiety. Um, Worried. So we had frustrated. So now worried, I can do that a couple of different ways. So here's the W, and they do worried, like for frustrated in that sense, worried. But I also do concern, which is an open eight handshake, concerned. I can do worry. I worry about it. I'm concerned about it. Um, I think most people are accustomed to worried. I kind of like to do this only because I'm trying to get away from so much initialization, which I have a tendency to do that. I have a lot of letters. Um, Threatened. Ooh. So, and that would go with afraid, right? So and threaten is to cause danger. This is danger where your left hand is not doing anything and your right hand open hand shape. And it's you are in danger, right? If something's dangerous or at risk or that kind of thing or threatened. Oh, and they threatened me. They threatened me. They told me they were going to beat me up or they had a gun or whatever. Threaten. They threatened me. They danger me. They endanger me, right? Nervous, we already did nervous. Rejected. So if someone rejected you, this is the sign for reject, and I would use that too. This is like big time rejected me. And if you were telling someone that I was rejected, like, oh, I wanted to go to lunch with that group, and they told me no. They rejected me, right? That's dejected, depressed, that kind of stuff. Or you can also do reject by this. Reject. You could either do that reject, which means they won't allow, won't. I asked to go to lunch with the group. They told me no. They rejected me, right? Or they rejected me. Either one would work. This is won't or refuse. So reject. Entitled. Ooh, who would have thought that would have been something that would cause anger? Entitled. I should go. I should be able to do, right? It's that whole facial expression, that whole body language. I should, right? And that's going to cause anger. I should be able to go to lunch with that group. Why not let me, right? So I should. That's entitled, right? I should be able to do whatever I want. I should be able to go into that restaurant without shoes, whatever, which you're not allowed, right? So that's entitled. Hurt. Now, this is an emotional hurt. This is the sign for hurt. So you have your index fingers and they go this way. A lot of people do this, but it's really that twisting because that's what pain is, right? It's usually kind of a twisting pain. So this is to hurt. So you could say, my feelings are hurt. My feelings are so hurt. I can't believe they wouldn't let me go to lunch, right? You're hurt. And that causes anger. So sometimes we don't realize what causes anger. And the list goes on. I know. Oh, offended. Offended. Index finger, and it starts on my right side. I'm right-handed, and it goes out and it comes around, right? Offended. They offended me. Offended. You really do they said some things and offended me. Or they were offensive. They did blah, blah, blah. Or they said blah, blah, blah. And it offended me, right? So, anyway. I was going to say something else, but then my sentence wasn't short and clear, so I didn't say victimize. Here's a sign for victim, which some people like and some people have chosen not to do anymore. And it is a V hand shape, and it's up here on your neck, like Dracula, and that is the sign for victim in any form or fashion is victim. Some people do not like to use that anymore. Sometimes they'll just spell it victim. As a victim. And I don't know why, and I guess because it has the connotation of like a vampire, which is how it started, was a victim, which there is no vampires, but you know what I'm saying. That's how the sign started, victim. If you wouldn't want to spell it, so were you a victim? What's another? You would have to do the whole phrase. They took advantage of you, so you were the person that was hurt. Right? You could even use it that way, but this is the sign for victim. I would not be afraid to use that sign, except if a deaf person said, "Oh, we don't use that." So then don't use it, right? But that is a sign for victim. Or you could just spell it if you want to use that word, victim. Or that person beat you up. You were the person that was hurt, right? Yeah, you could even use it that way if you don't want to use the sign for victim. Lonely. Hmm. And who would have thought that caused anger if you were lonely? No one ever calls me. No one ever comes to my house and visits with me and sits and chats with me. I'm lonely, right? I didn't think that would cause anger. I thought lonely would cause more sadness. So that was new information for me, but I can see it. So this is new information for me too when I was reading this. Injustice. So injustice means unfair. They weren't fair. So here's the sign for fair. So you have your bent B hand shape. And if you forget some of the hand shapes, go back to the very beginning of my videos in the 100s and I do all the hand shapes. So a bent B and it goes the same fair. Oh, they weren't fair or it's unequal, right? So equal, fairness, right? And if it's not, it's unequal or it's not fair or it's not equal, right? Either one, not fair, right? Or the injustice of it all, right? They're not fair. The fairness level, right? You could do some of those things. Injustice. Hunger. I can see that. I had that recently happen to me. Hunger. Hunger. So it's a C hand shape and it's right here, hunger. And that's something that we teach children. One of the first signs, hunger. Are you hungry? So it doesn't go all the way to the stomach, right? Because that's unnecessary. You can just do a short movement. Hungry. Man, I am hungry. I am starving. I've not eaten all day. So hungry. And now I'm mad. So we hear the word hangry, which means that you're hungry and that's why you become angry. So, two more. And fatigue, tiredness. This is to be tired and this is to be worn out. Man, I am just wore out. I am so tired and I'm hurting. And if one person comes up to me and tells me blah, 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 right, I'm going to just bawl them out. I'm going to be screaming, whatever. Unmet expectations. So I would do, this is hope. This is also to expect something. So you're hoping, you're expecting something to happen. Expectations, not satisfied. This is satisfied or met. This is satisfied. Are you satisfied? Yeah, I'm satisfied. Oh, how was that food? Oh, it was satisfactory or it was good or delicious, whatever. So this is satisfied. Something was met because it was satisfied. If it's not, then it's not satisfied, right? My expectations were not met. Expectations not met. That's how I would sign it. So, and if you go, oh, I had a review for my job and the expectations were met, right? Or over and beyond, right? So this is the satisfaction, or things were expectations were met, or you're satisfied. Um, like, well, how was that visit? How was that interview? Mm, it was, I'm satisfied with it. I'm satisfied with not instead of saying, okay, it's okay. You don't even know what that means. But if you go, oh, I'm satisfied, because you're satisfied with what they said and what yourself said. Anyway, those are the long list of things that can cause anger. So these underlying emotions that maybe you don't realize that, oh, that's why I'm angry. I don't know why I'm so angry or why they said something that just, I just immediately just anger. And so it could be this list of things. Anyway, I know this is kind of went on and on, but so practice these signs and practice them with sentences and with your friends. And I will see you later. Bye.